Darth Maul became an apprentice to Lord Sidious when he was only a child, growing up and learning everything there is to know about the Force from his master. However, during his first proper mission on Naboo, he is slain by Obi-Wan Kenobi and deemed a massive failure by Palpatine. But what if Plagueis, Palpatine's master, trained Maul? How would the story change? Would the Zabrak become more powerful, or would he still be killed on Naboo? Let's start today's story on Dathomir. Maul is only a young boy, and Darth Plagueis desires to train another apprentice. He knew that this would breach the rule of two, but this didn't matter to him. His end goal was always to abolish this doctrine and become immortal. Plagueis' master Tenebrous had many different apprentices ongoing during his lifetime. The doctrine set out by Darth Plagueis had played its part, but now had become outdated. Maul is taken by Plagueis and brought to Megiddo, the home world of the moon. As his true apprentice, Palpatine continued his work in the political realm, Plagueis began Maul's training. Maul demonstrated a true affinity for the Force. He quickly learned how to communicate with the Force, raising rocks and stones off the ground and channeling his senses by guessing what Plagueis was thinking. The training of the Sith was dark and dangerous. Plagueis beat Maul to a pulp, ensuring that the real man was born inside the boy. The Jedi would allow their students to take their time in learning about the Force, focusing on serenity. But Plagueis needed Maul to know everything now. Only a 6-year-old boy must be able to have the courage and determination to fight even the most powerful Sith Lord. This was the doctrine of the Sith. As Maul's power grew, his ambition rose alongside it. He learned to hate the Jedi, to resent them for their place in the world and destroying their dark side forefathers. Plagueis was an incredible teacher to the boy. He trained him not as a Sith Lord, but as an acolyte, a dark side user with the potential to become a Sith Lord. He needed to discover how powerful he truly could become. As he aged and his powers revealed themselves, the proficiency of Maul amazed Plagueis. He swung his double-bladed lightsaber with ease. There was a swiftness to his blade, yet wild and erratic, almost like he was swinging with no care in the world, yet he knew every single flourish he was doing. This excited the Sith Lord very much, and he knew that he was onto something. He would teach Maul Force Lightning, something that Palpatine refused to teach the boy in the original timeline. With Maul's increased strength, he believed he deserved to know the ability, and his connection to the dark side rose because of it. Plagueis and Maul would train all day long, increasing their powers. Palpatine didn't take too much notice of this. He was busy becoming the Naboo senator, ensuring that he could rise the ranks to one day become Chancellor. After 10 years of training the Zabrak, Plagueis concludes Maul's training on the planet Cursed, where he will face a legion of primitive beings with nothing but a wooden bat. This is the task all Darkside users, especially those in the Bane lineage, completed. Over the span of centuries, these primitive beings evolved, grew more powerful, developed tactics and strategies. They lived for the Sith to use them as training. The first time they fought the Sith was Darth Zanar, where she killed them all with complete ease. But now, they coordinated their attacks and worked together to try and kill Maul. Plagueis watches from the hill as Maul fends off against the beings. He was powerful, relying on the Force to sense where they are, and then employing his brute strength to defeat them. Plagueis knew he had trained him well, his training was complete, and he knew that his power would one day rival Sidious. By the events of the Phantom Menace, Maul is far more powerful than in the original timeline. The events would follow suit. Maul would still fight Qui-Gon on Tatooine, his increased power almost killing the Jedi, but thanks to Kenobi's quick interjection, they both escaped. But this revealed that the Sith had returned after a millennia. By the time of the Battle of Naboo, Plagueis is unsure if Maul will be strong enough to defeat Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan on his own, since he was unable to defeat Qui-Gon on Tatooine. He knows that his apprentice is powerful, but losing him straight after his training was complete seems absolutely pointless. Plagueis announces that he will accompany Maul to Naboo. In regard to the original timeline, Plagueis left Coruscant the night before the Chancellor election, which means that Palpatine doesn't kill his master. On Naboo, Plagueis and Maul would fight the Jedi. Together, they would absolutely obliterate them. Kenobi wasn't ready for this challenge. Though a powerful Jedi in his own right, he was facing the likes of two extremely powerful Sith Masters. The battle wouldn't last long, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are killed. After they were defeated, Plagueis ran back to the hangar bay to collect Anakin. Having witnessed the Council's assessment of the boy's talents, he knew that they had to kill him before he became too powerful. However, Anakin was already fighting the Trade Federation in space. When they received word that the Trade Federation starship had been blown up and the droids were shot down, Plagueis knew he and Maul had to leave. The following day, Palpatine would be elected as the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. During this election speech, he announced that Hago Damask from the Intergalactic Banking Clan would become his co-chancellor. A mixture of confusion and applause filled the Senate arena as Damask entered the Senate pod. Co-chancellorship was always the Sith's end goal, and what would have happened in the original timeline if Plagueis had survived. Hago Damask was a known figure in the galaxy. He was highly respected in the banking clan, and he founded Damask Holdings, a very successful company. Every senator in the room knew of him and respected him. The notion of co-chancellorship wasn't new in the Republic and had happened before, primarily in the High Republic era. From here, Maul continues to train and become stronger. It was clear to Plagueis and Palpatine that his abilities were far exceeding expectations. In the shadows, he spends his days training, learning more about the Force and becoming a more fierce adversary. He pleaded with his master to allow him to take more Jedi life. He relished in the deaths of Kenobi and Jin. But Plagueis calmed his apprentice. Under Plagueis' tutelage, Maul was growing exceptionally strong, and his powers almost rivaled Palpatine. As for Palpatine and Plagueis, they put their full focus towards becoming successful chancellors. Over the course of months, they became the most well-liked and popular chancellors in history. Their results were exceptional. One of the main reasons for this is because they were able to quickly resolve all of Chancellor Valorum's issues that he had during his terms. This is because Palpatine was the architect of these issues such as trade route blocks, a terrible economy, discontent from Outer Rim, and the crisis on Naboo. So when Palpatine was in power, he reversed all of the damage he'd done behind the scenes, and the Republic began to flourish. After 4 years, the two chancellors easily get re-elected, winning in a landslide. Everything was going perfect. However, things would take a sharp turn when they learned that the grand plan had reached stagnation after Kamina's clone-creating city blew up, completely disrupting clone production and essentially ruining the clone project. If they were to restart, they would have to wait many years until Kamina was restored and running again at the same efficiency. But even then, it would be another 10 years until the clones are fully grown to begin a galactic conflict. Plagueis and Palpatine knew that the clones were a dead end, and now they had to find something different. Plagueis travels back to Magneto where he searches through Tenebris's old journals from before he met him. He'd never done a deep dive into his old master's thoughts, and he learned a lot about how he viewed the world. One thing he resented about his master was that he became obsessed with technology and the Force. He nearly abandoned the entire grand plan in order to pursue knowledge over something that Plagueis believed wouldn't help their quest at all. But as he read through Tenebris's journals, he understood how wrong he was. Tenebris was experimenting for their cause. He dedicated his life to see the Jedi destroyed and the Sith return to power. He discovers an early plan that Tenebris had for developing a plague which temporarily takes away Force powers. The Beth Sith Lord had written dozens of pages on this idea, detailing its origin, its failure, and its success in creating it, and even how his trials of this plague were in action. Further reading suggested that Tenebris hit stagnation when he couldn't figure out how to make the plague hit multiple Jedi at once. Plagueis becomes incredibly intrigued by this idea. He decides to take temporary leave from his duties as co-chancellor and leave Palpatine in charge so that he can develop this concept further and perhaps discover the secrets that Tenebris could never figure out. Plagueis delves into Sith alchemy and ancient texts. This became his life. He spent all day researching the Force and how to bend it to his will. He already had a major head start with Tenebris's journals. Within the space of weeks, he successfully created a small disease which successfully nullified a user's Force powers. However, he understood why Tenebrous had issues when reducing a user's midichlorian count to near zero. Currently, the disease almost acts as the common cold, inflicting one's body for only a short period before they become healthy again. But Plagueis needed something far stronger, where he could completely reduce a user's midichlorian count. He tested various iterations of the plague. Maul was ordered to the Lothal system, where he brought his master dozens of Lothwolves, who were tied to the Force. Plagueis' experiments are used on them, and over the course of months, he refines it until it reaches the desired effect. Plagueis took inspiration from his midichlorian experiments that he conducted a decade prior, when he was attempting to discover the secrets to immortality. In that project, he wanted to learn to heal his own midichlorians. In order to reduce them, he did the complete opposite of his healing technique. This cracked the code, and one day, every single Lothwolf lost their Force connection from one dose of the plague. Plagueis was successful, and now it was time to test on humanoid subjects. As Plagueis slowly returned to political life after months of absence, he tasked Maul with traveling the galaxy and taking Force-sensitive beings for Plagueis to test on. Maul finally had his chance to unleash his lust for capturing Jedi. He found various beings across the galaxy, primarily Force-sensitive humanoids from various planets, such as Ryloth and Alderaan. Though they were untrained in the Force, when hit with the plague, their ability to use any sense of the Force was diminished. He also found the odd Jedi. Though not masters, he snatched Padawans and took their Force powers away, before brutally murdering them and feeding his lust for death. After months of trials, Plagueis knew that his work was successful and it could be used. Upon returning to public life with Palpatine, he believed that his main apprentice had succeeded his usefulness. He had turned into a political animal and no longer spent his days relishing in the dark side and all its powers. He hadn't seen a spark for the dark side in years. Little did he know, Palpatine was merely focusing on being a Chancellor, knowing that the time of the dark side would come. But this wasn't enough for Plagueis. He had used the Naboo bond to get into political office, and now his usefulness has expired. That night, Plagueis and Maul confront Sidious in his apartment on Coruscant like they usually do. They share a glass of wine, celebrating the last week. However, after Palpatine had one too many glasses, the Sith Lords ignite their lightsabers and attack. The combined strength of Plagueis and Maul completely overwhelmed Palpatine, and they killed him in the blink of an eye. This betrayal was staged as a freak accident, where the Chancellor had unfortunately passed away. Plagueis would manipulate these events in front of the Senate, detailing how saddened he was by his friend's loss. But in truth, he only consolidated his power, and now he was the sole Chancellor, the most powerful man in the galaxy. From here, Plagueis begins to develop a larger plague that will be able to hit many Jedi at once. Simultaneously, Maul begins to create havoc across the galaxy. He travels from world to world and takes Jedi's Force abilities before murdering them. The Council have known of the Sith's return for many years now, but since Naboo, they hadn't heard or seen of them. But when a trail of Jedi bodies was found from all corners of the galaxy, they knew who was responsible. At this point, Anakin Skywalker was 16 years old under Kit Fisto's tutelage. He was very powerful and was unlocking his Chosen One abilities. The Council tasked them with investigating the mysterious deaths across the galaxy, hoping to find even the smallest link to the Sith. Anakin and Kit Fisto delved into reports and holo recordings in the Jedi Temple archives, piecing together a pattern of death that spanned from Malachor to Tatooine, Naboo and Corellia. Each victim was a Jedi, and each was killed with a lightsaber. Anakin's focus was intense as he analyzed the data. He noticed that the killings were methodical, each one precise and brutal, suggesting a highly skilled opponent. The clues pointed to a lone assassin, moving through the galaxy and using commercial starports to travel. On Corellia, the latest site of a Jedi murder, the duo found themselves standing above the bodies of Jedi. The body of Jedi Knight Ashar Val lay in the shadow of a docking bay, his chest completely torn apart by a lightsaber burn. Local authorities had cordoned off the area, but their lack of experience was evident. Anakin examined the wound closely, recognizing the precise cut of a lightsaber. This was no random killing, but the work of a skilled and deliberate assassin. Kit Fisto communicated with the temple, requesting additional information on recent Sith activity, hoping to find a lead. The method of killings, combined with the location, hinted at a larger plan. The Jedi suspected that each murder was part of a larger scheme to destabilize the Order and spread fear amongst its ranks. Returning to their ship, Anakin and Fisto reviewed the knowledge they had gained when the Jedi Temple contacted them and informed them of another murder on Megiddo. On Megiddo, Anakin and Fisto navigate the icy wastelands, locating the body. This was the worst one yet. It was like the Jedi had been beaten to death with the Force. As they took evidence, a local approached them with a hood, trying to be quiet. She was an elderly Mun. She told the Jedi that she saw a perpetrator head towards the mountain on the east side of Megiddo. They followed this trail to an old, abandoned research facility. They found ancient machinery and data terminals lining the walls. It was dark and creepy. Anakin activated a terminal, revealing logs of Sith alchemy experiments. The facility had been a breeding ground for Sith practices, a likely hideout of the elusive killer. In a dimly lit room, they found the remains of another Jedi, recently killed and subjected upon. Suddenly, they hear a noise to their left as a double-bladed crimson lightsaber is ignited and Maul attacks them. Anakin charged at Maul, their lightsabers clashing with intense ferocity. Maul's grin was cold and malicious as he taunted Anakin. The duel was fierce, but Maul instantly recognized his power and knew he had to escape. He hurled crates and debris at Anakin using the Force. As Anakin was disorientated, Maul slices Fisto's arm off and leaps out the window to the streets of Megiddo below, where he escapes. They had found their attacker, and he was a Sith. The Jedi left the planet where Fisto would have his arm replaced, and they continued to investigate. Around this time, Plagueis had finished the plague and knew that he could use it on as many Jedi as he desired. And that night he would. Maul arrived in Coruscant after being on Megiddo. Plagueis goes to the temple where he ignites the plague and hits absolutely everybody inside its walls. Maul and Plagueis enter, their dark robes billowing behind them. This was the moment they had been waiting decades for. They leap into action and fight the Jedi. All of the Jedi inside the temple had still access to their lightsabers, and they would be ignited as they attempt to defend themselves. No one understood what's happening. Suddenly, they all lost their Force powers. Plagueis was slow and methodical, using precision and care to kill the Jedi. But Maul was on a careless killing spree, throwing his lightsaber across the room as he blasted lightning at everyone. Anakin and Fisto would receive a beacon call from the High Council, calling for assistance and that their powers had been depleted. They quickly rushed back to the temple to face the Sith Lords. Plagueis and Maul killed everyone, and the Jedi Order fell. When Anakin and Fisto returned, they still had their Force powers, but it didn't matter. They fought. Fisto was killed first, and although Anakin put up a strong fight, and Plagueis knew why Palpatine wanted to have the boy trained, it didn't matter in the end. Anakin was killed. There were other Jedi spread across the galaxy, and they weren't killed. But with no order to coordinate with, and no understanding of what had happened, they all went into hiding. Plagueis and Maul would rise. As Hago Damas created the Empire, and Maul became their primary enforcer. It wasn't illegal to be a Sith, and their tyranny was spread across the galaxy. The Sith would win. Plagueis would relish in the fact that the Jedi were no more. But a part of Maul was sad. He had no one else to kill. Plagueis would ultimately discover the secrets to immortality, and he became immortal. With the entire Empire to rule, he knew he needed enforcers stationed across the galaxy. He and Maul would begin a new Sith Order, and over the course of many years, its ranks would grow. The galaxy was plunged into chaos, and it was uncertain if they would ever be able to return to peace and light again. Plagueis and Maul were the true Sith Lords, their power endless. And so, with the Jedi defeated, the dark side had a hold on the galaxy, and Darth Plagueis and Darth Maul would rule forever with an iron fist. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch what if Plagueis went to Naboo instead of Maul, and what if Plagueis and Palpatine became co-chancellors. Please check out our membership page if you would like to support the channel, it really helps us out. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.